Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cipher God YouTube channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into the ultimate power of self-mastery, unlocking your true potential. It's a motivational piece that really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
Especially that intriguing hook, the idea that everything we think we know about success and happiness might be a lie.
Whoa.
Before we break it all down, make sure to check the description for some awesome gifts from the Cipher God.
I like gifts.
Okay, so unlocking our true potential, where do we even begin?
Well, right off the bat, the source throws down a gauntlet, claiming that we're our own worst enemies.
Oh, wow.
It's a bold statement, but when you consider the world we live in, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
We're bombarded with distractions, social media, instant gratification, information overload. It's exhausting.
It really is. The source goes on to say that if we're not in control of our minds, someone else is.
Yeah.
That's a bit unsettling, isn't it?
It is.
What's your take on that?
It's a wake-up call for sure. What's fascinating here is the idea that if we're not actively shaping our thought and behaviors, external forces will gladly step in and do it for us.
Interesting.
Think about the algorithms that curate your social media feeds, the marketing strategies designed to make you crave certain products. It's subtle, but it's powerful.
So we're basically on autopilot, letting these external forces steer our lives.
In many ways, yes. And that's why the source stresses the importance of taking back control.
Yeah.
It all starts with focused attention.
Okay, I'm intrigued. The source uses historical figures like Tesla and Da Vinci as examples, right?
Exactly.
These were individuals known for their intense focus and incredible output.
They weren't just brilliant, they were masters of their attention.
Right.
And from a scientific perspective, we know that focused attention is essential for achieving anything worthwhile.
Yeah.
There's even this concept called flow state. You become completely absorbed in a task, and time seems to melt away. It's a state of peak performance and creativity.
That makes so much sense. And speaking of focus, the source asks a really thought-provoking question. What are you focusing on?
Ooh.
Where's your attention going every day? It's a powerful reminder that we need to be intentional about how we spend our mental energy.
Absolutely. It's about becoming aware of where our attention is leaking and consciously directing it towards our goals and aspirations.
Right.
It's like training a muscle. The more we practice focusing our attention, the stronger it becomes.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, to check the description below for some amazing gifts from the Cipher God. Now, let's talk about discipline.
Ooh, okay.
The source seems to put a lot of emphasis on that, claiming it's the bedrock of success.
Yes, and it makes a crucial distinction between motivation and discipline.
Okay.
Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. Discipline, on the other hand, is the unwavering commitment to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it.
This is where the source introduces the concept of the daily war plan. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
What exactly does a daily war plan involve?
It's about approaching each day with a warrior-like mentality, a strategic plan of attack against weakness and procrastination.
I like it.
It involves waking up with a clear purpose, having a structured schedule, and attacking your most challenging tasks head-on.
Yeah.
The source even suggests seeking discomfort as a tool for growth.
Seeking discomfort, that's a new one. How does that work?
It's about intentionally stepping outside of your comfort zone, putting yourself beyond your perceived limits. Think of it like weightlifting.
Okay.
You need to push your muscles to the point of discomfort to build strength. It's the same with our minds.
So you're saying discomfort leads to growth.
By embracing challenges and pushing through resistance, we build mental resilience and willpower.
So it's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about reframing it as an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
I like that. How can we apply this principle of seeking discomfort in our own lives?
It could be as simple as taking cold showers, tackling a difficult task first thing in the morning, or having that uncomfortable conversation I've been putting off.
Interesting.
The key is to intentionally choose discomfort over ease, to train your mind to embrace challenges rather than shy away from them.
It's about building that mental muscle, that ability to push through resistance and stay committed even when things get tough. Now let's dive into one of the more captivating parts, the mindset of a king.
Okay.
The source claims, a true king fears nothing, which sounds pretty bold.
It is a bold statement.
What's your take on that?
It's a powerful statement that speaks to the importance of conquering fear and embracing a fearless mindset. But it's not about becoming reckless or ignoring genuine danger.
Right.
It's about understanding that fear is often an illusion, a mental barrier that we create in our minds.
So it's about challenging our fears and not letting them control us.
Exactly. The Source encourages us to stop caring about what others think, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and to stop playing small. It's about stepping into our power and pursuing our goals with unwavering determination.
I love that. But practically speaking, how do we actually cultivate that fearless mindset? The Source doesn't really go into detail on how to conquer fear.
Well, one effective approach is to reframe fear
Okay.
as a challenge to overcome. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, view it as a signpost pointing towards growth. When you feel fear, ask yourself what's the worst that could happen. Often our fears are far more exaggerated in our minds than they are in reality.
So it's about shifting our perspective on fear rather than trying to eliminate it altogether.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that action is the antidote to fear. The more we take action, the less power fear has over us.
It's about embracing that just do it mentality.
Precisely. And the Source concludes this section with a powerful question. Are you going to sit there, or are you going to rise?
Such a great line. It's a challenge to step into our power and take control of our lives.
It's a reminder that we have a choice to stay stuck in our comfort zones or to rise above our limitations and embrace our full potential.
Okay, so we've covered the harsh truth of self-sabotage, the power of focused attention, the discipline formula, and even touched on the mindset of a king. What's next in this journey of unlocking our true potential?
Well, the Source then issues a final warning, highlighting the importance of taking action and applying these principles in our lives. It's not enough to just hear this message. We have to actually do something with it.
It's one thing to understand these concepts intellectually, but it's another thing entirely to put them into practice.
Exactly. The Source emphasizes that most people will hear this and do nothing. They'll go back to their old habits and routines.
But for those who are truly ready to change, the Source offers a clear roadmap for transformation.
It does. It starts with deciding who we want to become. What does our ideal self look like? What actions does that person take on a daily basis?
It's about creating a vision for ourselves and then taking concrete steps to make that vision a reality.
And that brings us to the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into the Source's roadmap for transformation. Welcome back to part 2 of our deep dive into the ultimate power of self-master.
Yeah.
When we left off, we were discussing the Source's call to action, the idea that understanding these principles is only half the battle.
Right.
The real work lies in applying them to our lives.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of these ideas, but actually putting them into practice, that's where the rubber meets the road. So let's dive into that roadmap for transformation the Source provides. Where do we begin?
The Source emphasizes that transformation starts with a clear vision.
Okay.
We need to decide who we want to become, what our ideal self looks like. It's about painting a vivid picture of our future selves, encompassing our values, goals, and aspirations.
I see.
What does success mean to us? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind?
It's like creating a blueprint for the life we want to build. But a blueprint isn't enough. We need to actually start building.
Right.
What steps does the Source suggest we take?
Well, once we have that vision, we need a plan, a tangible strategy to bridge the gap between where we are now and where we want to be. The Source highlights the importance of breaking down our goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
It's about tackling those smaller wins, building momentum, and staying consistent over time.
That makes sense. Big goals can feel overwhelming, but breaking them down into bite-sized pieces makes them seem much more achievable. What about those inevitable obstacles and setbacks we're bound to encounter along the way?
Right.
The Source doesn't sugarcoat the fact that this journey will be challenging.
Absolutely. The Source acknowledges that there will be setbacks, moments of doubt, even failures along the way. But it encourages us to reframe those challenges, to see them not as defeats, but as opportunities for growth and learning.
It's about developing that resilience, that ability to bounce back from adversity and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
The Source doesn't seem to have much patience for excuses or victim mentality.
Not at all. The Source is very clear. We are the architects of our own lives. We have the power to choose our response to any situation.
Right.
We can either let challenges defeat us, or we can use them as fuel to propel us forward.
It's about taking ownership, taking responsibility for our choices and actions, rather than blaming external circumstances. Now, we talked earlier about the mindset of a king, that idea of fearing nothing. Does the source delve deeper into how we can cultivate that kind of fearlessness?
It does, and it starts with understanding the nature of fear itself. Often our fears are rooted in past experiences or limiting beliefs that we've internalized over time.
Interesting.
The first step is to become aware of those fears, to bring them into the light of consciousness.
So it's about acknowledging those fears, rather than trying to suppress or ignore them.
Exactly. Once we've identified those fears, we can start to challenge them, to question their validity. Are these fears based on reality, or are they simply illusions created by our minds?
Often I think we find that our fears are far more exaggerated in our minds than they are in reality.
Precisely. And once we start to question our fears, we can begin to replace them with more empowering beliefs.
Okay.
We can start to reframe our thinking and focus on the positive outcomes that are possible.
It's about shifting our perspective, changing the narrative we tell ourselves. The source emphasizes that action is the best antidote to fear.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from that cycle of overthinking and hesitation, and just taking that first step.
Absolutely. The more we take action, the less power fear has over us. It's like building a muscle. The more we exercise our courage, the stronger it becomes.
Right.
Now, beyond facing our fears, what other practical steps can we take to start putting these principles into practice?
Well, the source stresses the importance of creating a distraction-free environment.
Okay.
That means being ruthless, about eliminating anything that pulls our attention away from our goals.
I see.
Turn off notifications. Put your phone on airplane mode. Find a quiet space to work, whatever it takes, to minimize distractions and create a space for focused work.
It's about being proactive rather than reactive with our time and attention. The source recommends setting clear intentions for how we want to spend our time each day.
Right.
Before we start our day, let's decide what we want to accomplish and then focus our attention on those tasks. It's a simple but powerful shift in mindset.
It's about moving from a state of constant reaction to a state of conscious creation. We become the drivers of our lives, rather than passengers simply reacting to whatever comes our way.
Precisely. And just as important as focused work is giving ourselves adequate time to rest and recharge. The source emphasizes the importance of taking breaks, getting enough sleep, and engaging in activities that help us relax and de-stress. It's not about burning ourselves out. It's about working effectively and sustainably over the long term.
It's about finding that balance between focused effort and restorative rest. Now, along with minimizing distractions, the source also recommends being intentional about who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
The people we spend time with have a huge impact on our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors.
Absolutely. The source encourages us to surround ourselves with people who inspire us, challenge us, and support our growth. It's about cultivating relationships with individuals who embody the qualities we want to cultivate in ourselves. And just as importantly, it's about distancing ourselves from negative influences, people who drain our energy or hold us back from reaching our potential.
It's about creating a supportive ecosystem, a network of individuals who believe in us and encourage us to become the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And this brings us to another crucial aspect of personal transformation, training our minds.
Yes, the source talks about the importance of continuous learning and growth. It's not enough to just set goals and create a plan.
Right.
We need to actively engage in activities that expand our knowledge, sharpen our skills, and cultivate a growth mindset.
Right. The source recommends reading books, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, or taking courses, anything that exposes us to new ideas and perspectives. It's about embracing lifelong learning as a journey of continuous self-improvement.
It's about feeding our minds with nutritious information, just as we feed our bodies with nutritious food.
And it's not just about acquiring knowledge, it's about putting that knowledge into practice. The source encourages us to experiment, to try new things, to step outside of our comfort zones and see what we're capable of.
It's about embracing a spirit of curiosity and a willingness to learn from our mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, the source emphasizes the importance of developing a growth mindset. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Certainly. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence are not fixed, but can be developed through effort and learning.
I like that.
People with a growth mindset embrace challenges, persist in the face of setbacks, and see feedback as an opportunity to improve. They believe that they can always learn and grow, no matter what their current level of skill or knowledge is.
So it's about cultivating a belief in our own potential for growth and development.
Yeah.
What are some practical tips for developing a growth mindset?
One key suggestion is to focus on the process rather than the outcome. It's about enjoying the journey of learning and growth, rather than being fixated on achieving a particular result. The source also recommends embracing challenges as opportunities for learning and growth. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, view them as opportunities to stretch ourselves and develop new skills.
So it's about reframing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than seeing them as obstacles or setbacks.
Exactly. And it's essential to seek out feedback and learn from our mistakes. Feedback, even if it's critical, is invaluable for growth.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for it and be open to learning from your mistakes.
It's about seeing the mistakes, not as failures, but as valuable learning experiences.
Right. Now, beyond personal growth and development, the source also touches on the importance of finding our purpose.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit? Certainly. Purpose is about having a clear sense of why we're here and what we're meant to do with our lives. It's about finding something that gives our lives meaning and direction, something that aligns with our values and passions. And the source argues that purpose is essential for unlocking our true potential.
Right.
Absolutely. When we have a strong sense of purpose, we're more motivated, more resilient, and more likely to achieve our goals. It fuels our actions and gives us a sense of direction and meaning.
So how do we find our purpose? It can feel like a daunting task.
The source suggests that we start by exploring our passions, interests, and values.
Okay.
What are we naturally drawn to? What are we good at? What do we care about deeply? It's about identifying those activities that light us up, that give us a sense of joy and fulfillment.
It's about tapping into our intrinsic motivations, those things that drive us from within, rather than external rewards or recognition.
Exactly. The source also recommends reflecting on our past experiences and identifying moments when we felt most alive and fulfilled. What were we doing? Who were we with? What were we feeling? These peak experiences can provide valuable clues about what truly matters to us.
It's about connecting with those moments when we felt truly aligned with ourselves and our purpose.
And finally, the source encourages us to consider how we can use our unique talents and gifts to make a positive impact on the world. What problems are we passionate about solving? How can we use our skills to serve others?
It's about aligning our personal aspirations with a greater purpose, finding a way to make a meaningful contribution to something larger than ourselves.
Finding our purpose is not always easy. It can be a journey of exploration, experimentation, and self-discovery. But it's a journey that is well worth taking.
It's a journey that can lead to a life of greater meaning, fulfillment, and impact.
And don't forget, everyone, to check the description below for some incredible resources and special gifts from the Cipher God.
These resources can provide valuable support and guidance on your journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll wrap up our deep dive into the ultimate power of self-mastery and explore how these principles can be applied not just to our individual lives, but to the world around us.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the ultimate power of self-mastery. We've covered a lot of ground, from the harsh realities of self-sabotage to the power of focused attention, discipline, mindset, and even finding our purpose. Now, as we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how all of these pieces sit together.
Yeah.
What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from this source?
What's fascinating is how interconnected all of these concepts are. They build upon each other to create a framework for personal transformation.
Right.
It's not enough to just focus on one aspect, like discipline or mindset. True self-mastery requires a holistic approach, integrating all of these principles into our lives.
It's like a recipe with multiple ingredients,
Yeah.
each one contributing to the final flavor. And the source emphasizes It's not a passive process.
Right.
It requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of our lives and making conscious choices that align with our goals.
Right.
It's about showing up each day with intention and purpose, like a warrior preparing for battle.
That reminds me of the daily war plan we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's about approaching each day with a strategic plan of attack against weakness and procrastination. It involves waking up with a clear purpose, having a structured schedule, and tackling the most challenging tasks head on.
Right. And it's not just about having a plan, it's about executing it relentlessly. The source is adamant about destroying weakness, eliminating excuses, and cultivating that unshakable discipline that drives us forward, even when we don't feel like it.
It's about building that mental toughness, that resilience, that allows us to overcome challenges and stay committed to our goals. Now, one thing that really resonated with me was the source's emphasis on seeking discomfort.
Oh, yeah.
It's a counterintuitive idea, but it makes sense when you think about it.
It does. It's about understanding that real growth happens outside of our comfort zones. It's about pushing ourselves beyond our perceived limits, embracing challenges, and even seeking out discomfort as a way to build mental and emotional strength.
It's like weightlifting.
Right.
You have to push your muscles to the point of discomfort to build strength. It's the same with our minds.
Yeah.
By intentionally exposing ourselves to challenges and pushing through resistance, we develop resilience and expand our capacity for growth.
And it ties back to the idea of embracing a fearless mindset. The source argues that a true king fears nothing, understanding that fear is often an illusion, a mental barrier that we create in our minds.
It's about recognizing that fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to control us.
Right.
We can choose to face our fears, challenge them, and ultimately overcome them.
Exactly. And one of the most practical pieces of advice the source offers is to stop caring about approval.
Oh, wow.
It's so easy to get caught up in what others think, to seek validation and approval from the outside world. But ultimately, our journey is our own.
It's about living authentically, pursuing our goals without needing external validation, and having the courage to be ourselves, even if it means standing out from the crowd.
And that brings us to the final warning that the source delivers.
Okay?
It's a powerful reminder that hearing this message isn't enough. Action is required.
Right.
We have to apply these principles in our lives if we want to see real change. It's about taking ownership of our destiny and making a conscious choice to create the life we want.
It's about moving from a state of passive consumption to active creation, becoming the architects of our own lives. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember?
The power to change your life lies within you. You have everything you need to achieve your goals, overcome your challenges, and create a life that is truly extraordinary.
Beautifully said. And don't forget, everyone, to check the description for some amazing gifts from the Cipher God that can help you on your journey of self-discovery and growth. Thank you for listening to the Cipher Gods podcast. We hope you found this deep dive into the ultimate power of self-master insightful and inspiring. Remember, the journey starts now. What will you choose to create? That's NC2.